In this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the simplest plotting commands in MATLAB. Okay, so the general idea to plot in MATLAB is to define arrays of x and y coordinates. So we're going to have one array containing the x coordinates of some points we want to plot, and another array containing the y coordinates of the corresponding points, right? And then we're going to plot the values of y against those of x. Okay, so that's the general idea of how it works. So how do we do that? Well, there are several ways. So let me introduce the simplest one, where we only define one array. So let me define one array called y1, and here I'm going to use the definition of the array using square brackets. Okay, so between square bracket I can just plug in some values separated with a space, and that way the array is going to contain these values. So I have 3, 2, 0, -2, 1, 3, 5, 7, 5, and 2. Okay, I've taken some completely arbitrary values here. Okay, so I define an array which should contain 10 elements. Okay, and to show you that it actually works, if I now print the array y1, yes, I do get these values, right? Good. So now what happens if I just plot y1? Okay, so here I've only defined the y coordinates of the points I want to plot, okay, not the x coordinate. So if I just write plot of y1, well, what MATLAB is going to do is to plot these values against the first 10 integers. Okay, so here, because it has 10 values, okay, the size of the array is 10, then it plots these values against all the integers from 1 to 10. Okay, if it has 15 entries in the array, then it would plot the values against all the integers from 1 to 15. Okay, anyway, so that's how it works, right? Here MATLAB just assigns the x coordinate of the points to be the first 10 integers because we haven't specified them. Okay, now we're gonna see what happens when we actually specify the x coordinates as well. Just another thing, you can add options to plottings. Okay, so for example, instead of plot y1, I have plot y1 and then in apostrophes like that, I can put an option, for example a color. So if I put R, now my plot is in red, okay, and G correspond to green as well. And I also can plot with markers. So for example, if I want a star like that, okay, then now you see my plot, my data look like stars, right? And I can also combine them. So for example, if I want to plot my data with green pluses, so I would have G plus like that, and MATLAB understands that, and you see now I have my green pluses. Okay, all right, so those are just options that you can add, okay, to your plot to make it look the way you want. Now see what happens when we actually define the x coordinates as well. So now let me define an array x1 which is going to contain the x coordinates of the points that I have defined here, right? So of course the array of x coordinates must have the same number of elements as the array of y coordinates. Okay, so well, this time I'm going to plot these values against the integers from 5 to 14. Okay, it's also 10 integers. I would have 5 colon 14, so it's the array containing all the integers between 5 and 14, right? So there should be 10 of them. Just to convince you, if you print x1, you actually get 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. until 14. So now how do I plot the array of y coordinates y1 against the array of x coordinate x1? I simply use a plot command again. So plot, and in brackets, first the array of x coordinate, it is important to be in that order, and then the array of y coordinates. Okay, so if I plot that, you see now I have of course the same y coordinates, but you see they are plotted against all the integers from 5 to 14. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. All right, and of course you can also add some options the same way that we've done before. Okay, so for example, if I want some red crosses, okay, I would have Rx. Okay, X represent the cross, and that's what I have here. Okay, so I have red crosses for my data. Good. Now let's see one more thing, is how do we plot two sets of arrays or two sets of data points on one figure. Okay, well, it's not very difficult. All we need to do is define two more arrays of x and y coordinates, and we're going to use the same plot command, as we'll see. So first let me define another array of x coordinates, for example x2, and I'm gonna make it equal to the array containing the integers from 3 to 12. So 3 to 12. Right. So you see that x2 to contain all the integers from 3 to 12. There are 10 of them. And let me define a second array of y coordinate, y2. And I'm going to take the value 0, 1, 0, -2, -4, -1, 1, 2, 5, and 3. Okay, I should have also 10 values in here. Okay, and if I print y2, there you go. I have the entries here of the array. So now I want to plot y1 against x1 and y2 against x2 in the same figure. Okay, so I'm going to use the same plot command, and then I'm first going to plot y1 against x1. So first remember the x coordinate, comma, then the y coordinate, okay, and then some options. So for example, I want to plot that one in red, okay, and then after the options I can add more arrays, okay, and that's what I'm going to do here. So now I'm going to plot my values contained in y2 against those in x2. So first the x coordinate, then the y coordinate, and then the options. So for example, I want to plot that one to be green, let's say, and of course I need to close the brackets, okay, but I'm not limited to only two sets of arrays here. I can continue, okay, with x3, y3, x4, y4, and stop wherever I want. Okay, you can plot as many sets of arrays in one figure as you want using this plot command. So let's see what we have now, and that's what we have. So you see in red, that was my first set of points, okay, which are still plotted against 5 to 14, right? So it started at 5 and then 14. And in green now I have my sets of points, okay, containing y2, plotted against the integers from 3 to 12. So you see it starts at 3 and ends at 12, okay? So that's the way it works for plotting two arrays. Okay, there are many more command and way of plotting in MATLAB. Here are just the simplest ones, okay, but they are very helpful for what we're gonna see next.